I don't think Father Barnabas is coming, guys. I don't think he's coming. But welcome to the MichaelSisco show. Welcome. Uh-oh. I'm doing a boomer teching right now. But anyways, yeah, I invited him. He has the link. But I guess I have to tell the backstory for... Guess I got to give the backstory. Uh-oh. Hang on. I'm trying to pin the... Oh. What? Oh. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Trying to get that entropy link pinned. There we go. All right. So let's delete this. So you're probably wondering what's going on. There's a bit of a backstory with Father Barnabas Powell, and apparently he donated to my campaign. But that's weird to me. I can't fathom why he would. We've butted heads several times before. Oh, thanks for the Christmas sweater. I'm just trying to be in good Christmas cheer. Thanks, Elliot. Did you guys like my musicless waiting room? I'm trying to figure out how to do that on StreamYard, where I can play music, kind of like the OBS people do. But I haven't figured out how to do it yet. But anyways, about a year and a half ago, Father Barnabas Powell and I, there was had a little run-in. He made a post about abortion, and he's pro-life. He's, I'd say, generally conservative, but he's very, how can I say, seems to have some naivety in approaching certain topics. And when you point out some of the deficiencies in, let's say, some organizations that he is familially tied to, like GoArch, he just freaks out. And I had mentioned on this Facebook thread that, I happened to bring up the archons, the Greek archons, who donate to pro-abortion candidates. And I said, how can you rectify being pro-life and sticking with GoArch and these bishops who march with BLM and who support and show up at the DNC convention? And how can you justify, how can you have this sort of like conservative outlook, and I would describe him as very normie, which is okay. But I just confronted him. How can you have these views and be where you are? How do you rectify that? And instead of giving me a real answer, which maybe I was a little harsh with my archon comment, he just blocks me on Facebook. Okay, I was probably a lot less of a figure per se back when this happened, and this was on my old Facebook account, and I deleted it. Thank you, Orthodox Prox. I'm actually gonna drop the if anybody wants to call in, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. It's gonna be kind of a chill show. We're not gonna I'm not going to do too much. Just going to kindly speak about what happened with Father Barnabas Powell and a bit of a backstory there. So, and you know what? Maybe I overreacted. We'll let you guys be the judge. Wiggle off. The stream is about Father Barnabas Powell. Father Barnabas Powell. But I do want to share. I'm going to screen share again. One more time. Oops. What happened there? I'm going to screen share this. I think it's... Hey, is it this one? No. Okay, so this post was made early November by Father Barnabas, where it says, progressive Christians are more likely to establish their identity through politics, while conservative Christians find their identity in theology. Obviously, you could see why this post would pique my interest, because, you know, progressive Christians tend to see the world through a political lens, whereas conservative Christians see things through a religious lens. And I say this all the time. You know, we have to view the world through our faith, not through this modern religion of progressivism. And you could see why this would prompt me to comment. So let me see if I can find my comment anywhere. Is it still? Okay, so we still have this here. I think this is the thread that I commented on. Yeah, wait, where? I think Father Barnabas actually deleted. Okay, never mind. Well, I commented up here on this guy. If your politics isn't informed by your faith, then your faith will be informed by your politics. But the reason the difference is so profound between the identity of progressives is because progressivism itself is a competing religion. It can only tolerate other religions in as much as they are modified to fit the progressive worldview. Father Barnabas just ignores that. Under here, where Milty here is saying, as Christians, we should be more political. The total separation between religion and public/political life is not Christian. We should be like the progressives, except push good and not evil like they do. And then it says, I don't think the separation of church and state was necessary. That is just a cope. The founders didn't really have a common church. Probably had more to do with it. I agree with your other points, though. I say more political Orthodox Christian here, LOL. Barnabas Powell, in his ever-famous snark, that perhaps Orthodox should come before political, but then again, perhaps that is a correct statement as it stands. Like, what? What are you trying to say, dude? And then I say, I certainly agree that orthodoxy trumps political identity. What are you implying? Perhaps if you have some criticism, you should just speak plainly and not in riddles. He goes, if you'd certainly agree, then there's nothing else, of course. If I had any criticism, my gut tells me it would be of limited value to share it. My gut has been wrong before, so I don't have a strong opinion about this one way or another. Then I say, okay, cool, whatever. Liked your posts. Realize we've had disagreements before. I'm not here to cause trouble. nor is that ever my intention. And I said, I hope you are well, Father, and congrats on the World Series. So, what? Don't do videos when you're in your cups? What are you talking about, Evan? This is my Christmas attire. What's wrong with you, dude? Foot? What is it? What are people talking about here? I don't know what you people are even talking about. But I did sin, just FYI. I Facebooked Father Barnabas I'm not drinking tonight. I did drink on my birthday stream, and I have coffee. I have coffee right here. But anyways, and I don't think my plan was to show you actually I'll keep that screen up. I'll just remove it. My plan was to show you this Twitter exchange, but he blocked me, so I don't even know if it's possible right now. Isn't Father a bit of a humanist? I have no idea. But I don't even think I can even really share what I wanted to share because Father Barnabas blocked me on Twitter. Maybe I can share what I said, but okay, I can show a little bit. Let me just there's a Clergy on the hello, CL Zoomer 45. What's going on? Good to have you. Good to have you. All right. Let's get back to this Twitter. I like what StreamYard's done. I can actually share tabs now instead of just screens. That's pretty swell. Now, I did actually, after that last incident on Facebook, I sent a direct message to Father Barnabas, and I'll read it. I don't know how comfortable I feel sharing private messages of people. That's not something I really want to do. Wow, there's nothing in there. So anyways, I say, hey, Father Barnabas, I know that we had a little skirmish online a while back. I got the sense earlier today that there still may be some hard feelings. Please forgive me for any harshness from our interactions. I'm always open to discussing privately if there is something that you'd like to address with me. And I gave him my phone number. Bam. I got a read receipt, but he just left me on read. No response. He didn't message me until today. And I'll tell you what he said after we go through this. So this article comes out earlier, which is great, by the way. I have it right here. Monokos, I don't know how to say the guy's name. Monokamos, I can't say these Greek names. Anyways, it's an article that was refuting the hit piece from Dr. Aram Sarkisian that was published by Public Orthodoxy. And, I ended up, I made a joke here because the guy who was in the video made a comment that Aram Sarkisian probably wouldn't appreciate it if we decided to treat his ancestral country, which is Armenia, like we treat America. And so I make a joke where I say, amazing, looking forward to legislating policies that flood Aram Sark's ancestral home with Turkish refugees. And Real Med Right comments and says, I would love that. Real Med White is Turkish, by the way. Turkish convert to Orthodoxy. But I go on Aram's Twitter and I see Father Barnabas Powell interacting with him. And he's interacting with him positively. He goes, you can see this right here. For whatever reason, I can still see it, even though Father Barnabas has me blocked. It says, you are right. People with these deluded ideas need the church to set them free from these delusions, as those gripped by delusions and other areas of parasitic ideologies, inconsistent with the wisdom of the faith. Broken people need the church. Thanks for the comment. Good strength. Now, I'd click this to go back and see give you the full context, but I'm afraid that I will, because he has me blocked, that's not possible. And I just said, glad to see Father Barnabas has picked a side. Funny that you mentioned parasitic ideologies. That's a perfect descriptor for the progressive ideology of the smear merchant that you're engaging with so enthusiastically. And then I mentioned, hey, when I asked to speak to you privately because I sensed some sort of animosity from you, why did you decline? Is it because you think my views are parasitical? Please explain. Now, maybe I'm being a little harsh this morning, but he's praising a hit piece that was about me and my fellow associates with the Philip Ludwell III Fellowship. So why wouldn't my eyebrows raise a little bit? And this tweet here, I don't even know if I can show it. It might not show. I'm gonna try and okay. I can't see it because he's blocked me, but he basically said, oh, all I said was, I said that I was fascinated by the article. It doesn't mean I admire or agree with it. And I'm like, clever. Just be straight up then. I point out, you always respond in sarcasm, which is frankly unbecoming of your position. Do you agree with the article? Do you find my views to be parasitical? If so, would you prefer to discuss this publicly or privately? He doesn't respond. So I, in my good humor, start advertising Father Barnabas Powell as my guest tonight. It's a joke. It's funny. It's hilarious. Father Barnabas Powell. Coming. I thought it was funny anyways. But he goes, how could you announce I was joining you without asking me first? And I say, oh, come on, it'll be fun. Well, I make, the way you do it, Father Barnabas, is I make a flyer and I make it look as gay as I possibly can, and I put your face on it. And then I share with the link to my show. And that's how I announce before asking you. So that's how it's done. And Michael of St. Joseph says Twitter was a mistake. But let's see. I got some comments here. Cozy TV Sisco, let's make it happen. Hey, man. I think I'm on the queue somewhere, but I don't know if you know anybody. If you know anyone, hey, you know what? Put the work. If you can get me on Cozy, I would love to be on Cozy. Maybe I'm a little too small beans, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe my audience isn't big enough. I don't know. Volps here says, what's frustrating is that clergy want to have public profiles but refuse to engage sincerely. Then he pushed back in the same public forums. It's very salesman-y. Yeah, I just don't I could have just had a conversation with him after. He could have responded. He could have sent me a private message. He could have said, hey, that's not what I meant. It could just be a big misunderstanding, and that's all he had to say. Then I would have deleted the tweet, apologized, said, hey, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, big guy. Sorry. So, of course, then after I respond and say, oh, come on, just come on, it'll be fun, he blocks me on Twitter and he unfriends me on Facebook. But he doesn't unfriend me on Facebook without first sending me a message. And I don't know if I want to show that. I don't want to, let's see. Hang tight, hang tight. I do actually want to show this because I want to prove that the message actually happened. So we're just talking about Father Barnabas Powell, no biggie. Which screen am I sharing? Oh, wrong one. Wrong one. Let's just close that one for John Anon. Just a slight skirmish with Father Barnabas Powell, and instead of discussing it, he blocks me everywhere. He sided with the Fortamites. So here's proof that I sent Father the message asking to, hey, no hard feelings, forgive me for any harsh interactions, and I'm doxing my phone number right now. So, oops, hope nobody saw that. Don't really care. Feel free to call me, anybody. But I gave him my phone number, and now everybody else has it too, so whatever. And he messages me, Michael, please return my donation to your campaign. And he didn't, and I was astonished. Why would I think that a guy who's being snarky to me, going back since now let me see when this actually. Oh, okay. Well, obviously it's a shock to me that he would send a donation, considering our history. And I didn't think he would do that. He did re-add me on Facebook on my new account. And I don't know what he donated $50. I went back and looked. I pulled it up out of the system in July. And I can't screen share that because it has his address and all that stuff. But he donated in July. So Munster says, what's up, Michael? Father Barnabas is irrelevant. Yeah, well. Yeah. That might be I don't want to say that he's a priest. You know what I mean? Just by having and he's one of these celeb priests that has books, has podcasts. He has his YouTube. He's one of the celeb priests, right? And Pano says, "Bro, come on now. Where'd your beer go, Pano? What in the world?" And what are you complaining about, Pano? Are you mad because Father Barnabas isn't actually here? Hey, look. Why shouldn't I talk about this? Like the guy was basically licking the feet of Aram Sarkisian, who wrote the hit piece on the Philip Ludwell III Fellowship and me, and speaks of me disparagingly. And oh, that's an interesting article, guy, progressive guy that has pronouns in your profile that says vote blue. Like, why should I be hesitant to talk about this publicly? Why should I be hesitant to call Father Barnabas out on it? Like, this guy is a smear merchant, smearing me, smearing my associates, smearing my friends and other clergy that I'm friends with. Why should I be hesitant to engage him in public after he turned down an opportunity to engage me privately? No, bro, come on now. So yeah, it's cool that you did sound mixing for him back in 2019. I liked him. I was a big fan for years. Same as I was a big fan of Father Andrew Stephen Damick for years. His homilies are great. And his homilies are I haven't watched one in a while. His homilies are probably still great. But I don't know what's changed. And he donated to me in July, $50. He's asked for a refund, which, by the way, no refunds. I'm glad you're on my side, Pano. I was getting a little heated and worked up there. But yeah. But there's no refunds on a political campaign, by the way. But I don't know what changed. What changed since you donated to me in July, Father Barnabas, to November, where you respond to me in sarcasm and just like this, like very feminine, jaded way. Like, what changed between July and November? Huh? My views haven't changed. And then why can't I? What is it? Are you like, what kind of man? And I realize you're clergy, and so I don't want to speak to that. It's not my place to say, I don't know, how a Go archpriest should conduct himself. But a man, when confronted by another man who is supposedly your co-brother in Christ, right? Your co-religionist, your fellow Orthodox Christian, when you're confronted with any sort of disagreement, whether it's publicly, and I wasn't being vulgar, and maybe I was a little harsh, but I did engage you directly and to the point, and you respond with snarky sarcasm. That's how women respond. That's how women. So there is a place for sarcasm and snark. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think this is the way that you're doing it is just a passive. You have a problem with me that started somewhere, that was resurrected somewhere between the time you sent me a donation and November something, when you made this snide comment directed my way. Something changed, and now when I challenge you on your little praise of this guy's great work, which was a smear piece against me, my old boss, another clergy friend of mine, and everyone involved with the Philip Ludwell III Fellowship, why wouldn't I be taken aback by that? And why don't I have the right to call you out on it and ask you to explain yourself? And then you respond with sarcasm and snark. And if you didn't like the way I was approaching it, hey, you know what? Contact me privately. Say, hey, Michael, you're misinterpreting this, which is entirely possible. Send me a message. Send me a message and be like, hey, can you delete those tweets or something? This is not what I meant. Or you could have engaged publicly on Twitter in a different manner, where you just said what you meant. But you won't even tell me. You won't even tell me what your position is. You're just a coward. You're not masculine, which is sad, because you're in a position that should only be filled by somebody who is masculine, because our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ was God incarnate as a man. He didn't respond passive aggressively to the challenge of conquering death by death. Seraphim Goose, his homilies are great. His homilies are solid. His theology is pretty solid. So I think that there is this like weird, it's like some conservatives, especially like normie conservatives, who don't really understand it's like they don't understand why progressivism, and which is weird because of his post, but some of these guys just don't seem to get it. Like you can't, because progressivism is a competing religion, there isn't any appeasing it. And it's like he just wants to appease the wokesters somehow. Like, I'm gonna tell him how we feel. Like, that's an interesting piece. I'm very fascinated by it. And there's some sort of gratification of groveling and apologizing towards these woke, progressive, sodomite people. Like, he literally has his pronouns in his Twitter bio. No. Just be that's not how we can't approach these people in weakness. So anyways, if anybody wants to call in, and you guys should, Pano, you should call in, because I haven't talked to you in a while, and I want to see your new effeminate jawline. Just kidding. But Seraphim Goose says, Pano shaved because he had to prove to everyone that he wasn't simply hiding an effeminate jawline with a beard. Well done. Now grow it back out, and we won't have any trouble. So, well, hey, what do you guys think? Should I return? Now, I'm a no refund guy. I don't give refunds for political contributions. I had a donor who gave a lot more than he did and decided to support my opponent, one of my primary opponents, and asked for a refund. Now, Father Barnabas only gave $50. This person gave $500, and I didn't give no refund. I said, no refunds, bitch. But, yeah. Jeff in Japan says progressives has done an effective job of convincing people that white supremacy is actually a thing. Yeah, it's not a thing. and the reason why it really irks me is because for him to imply, to respond to that article with the response that says, hey, we don't believe in orthodoxy opposes white supremacy, which by doing so, you're implying that everyone that he wrote about in the article is a white supremacist. I don't take kindly to that. Why would you feel the need to give any credibility to this jackass that writes for Fordham University? Why? I just don't get it. Maybe it's naivety. Maybe it's naivete, whatever. And Lynette Osborne says VOH, FYI. I don't know what VOH means. I don't know what you mean. I'm going to go and check Odyssey real quick just to see if anybody... see if I'm missing any comments over there. But hey, call in, people. Let's call in. I know we might actually, if nobody calls in, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to read. We're just going to read that hit piece, and that'll be next on the agenda. I just want to see if we got any comments over here on Odyssey. I tend to forget about checking Odyssey sometimes. Let's get Father Barnabas off the screen. But hey, you know what? It would have been cool if Father Barnabas would have called in and we could have just hashed things out live on air. That would have been fun. That would have been ideal, honestly. Would have been ideal. So, no comments over on Odyssey, but we do have some viewers over there. So, Valiant One says, on a lighter note, looks like Russia and NATO will have a direct conflict over Ukraine anytime now. I hope not. I hope not. I don't think, honestly, we get these saber rattlings all the time, but never comes to... I don't think it would be very... Western Europe depends on the pipeline, some Russian gas in the pipeline. So unless they're complete moronic morons, I don't think either side really wants this to turn violent on that sort of scale. It would not be good. Volp says, man, even Father Barnabas' about section has progressive undertones. I don't know how much of that. I mean, he does he's like very normie, conservative, like Republican type, and which really is progressive if we're talking about it. But a lot of times, just conservatives and even reactionaries will accidentally kind of fall within the framework that the progressives have set up for them, and will even use their language by accident. And I've even caught myself doing it. So I haven't read his bio, so I don't know if he's done it. Shoot, I never went live on Entropy. So I'm going live now. So if you want to send, I was supposed to do that while and had my little waiting a little music-free waiting room up. Hang on. But if you want to send an entropy chat, go right ahead. It's open. It's up now. It's up now. The goal tonight is $25. We're at 0 right now. We are at 0. So Volp says conservatism is progressivism with the brakes on. Very true. Very true. Lynette is a bot. Okay. Where my mods at? Munster, can I make you a mod, Munster? Since I know you in real life. Well, since I met you once in real life. I don't know if that constitutes knowing. But you did seem like a really, really nice gentleman. I will say that. It's a pleasure to meet you. A mod is there people who, like, if the chat gets out of hands. But I don't know. It's a high duty with a weight on your shoulders. I don't know. Seraphim Goose says conservatism is progressivism driving the speed limit. Michael Malice. Yeah, Michael Malice is an interesting cat. I like Michael Malice. But I'm gonna try and find this hit piece, and we can just go through and read it. Let me find it. But mostly I'm just disappointed in Father Barnabas. Like, if you're going to be a public figure and a priest and a celeb priest, like, are you not accustomed to getting challenged? Sometimes, like why can't we just have a discussion like men? Like just runs away like he's effeminate. These effeminate people. My own friends can challenge me in the manner that I approached him, and we would just hash it out. It wouldn't be a blocking. And then I think the thing that really pushed him over the edge was me promoting him as my guest as a troll. And like, who cares, man? It's funny. Laugh a little, dude. Lighten up. Lighten up. Lighten up. Everyone asking what happened, well, you're going to have to go back and watch the playback. Not going to rehash everything 52 minutes later. 52 minutes later. But to make a long story short, he expressed agreement with Aram Sarkisian, who is a left-wing activist who writes for Public Orthodoxy, which is Fordham University-funded liberal, pro-LGBTQ, pro-progressive propaganda, which is there basically to subvert orthodoxy. Tennessee Gym Girl. The playback is, after I finish this, you can watch the entire episode on YouTube or Odyssey. Anyways, we're going to read this hit piece, which I don't normally respond to these, but the only reason it's relevant is because Father Powell expressed agreement with it. It's called Orthodox America Has a Lost Cause Problem by Aram Sarkisian. For more than a decade, researchers has excavated the fascinating story of Philip Ludwell III, an Anglo-American convert to Orthodox Christianity. I can't maintain that voice. Who lived in colonial Virginia during the mid to late 18th century. A friend to Benjamin Franklin, cousin to Martha Washington, and a member of one of Virginia's most established and well-connected planter families. Ludwell was also a distant relation of Robert E. Lee. Recently, a group of Orthodox Christians from the America South have drawn on this story to establish the Philip Ludwell III Orthodox Fellowship, a group devoted to nurturing the roots of Orthodoxy in Dixie's land. So what's the problem with that? What's wrong with nurturing Orthodoxy in the South? He goes on to say, what is interesting but troubling about the rise of Ludwell Fellowship is its appropriation of an 18th century story to fit a twisted and ahistorical agenda of the 21st. You're wrong. Scholars and other observers are noting the growing links between Orthodox Christianity and the American alt-right. This includes, but is not limited to, the rise of Orthodox political candidates MichaelSisco and Lauren Witzke, the rhetoric of white supremacist leader Matthew Heimbach, and the participation of OCA priest Father Mark Hodges in the January 6th insurrection at the United States Capitol. Curious. I don't remember what. I'm sure this is going to be a Right Wing Watch link. Oh, okay. So the link that he used for me, he links to the Sarah Riccardi Swartz article about me, which I thought was pretty epic and based, honestly. I'll put that in the chat. Yes, Father Whiteford is, in fact, one of the founding members of the Ludwell Fellowship. I will keep reading. Yeah, and notice how he just throws Matthew Heimbach's name in there. Now, Heimbach has views that I disagree with pretty strongly. Mostly his behavior is what I take the biggest issue with. But from what I understand, Heimbach has returned to the church and is serving his penance and is a faithful Orthodox Christian again. So, yeah. But it's funny that they put his name right next to mine. It's an obvious attempt to stain my reputation with his and to put us together. Normalizing, now this is kind of interesting because it's pretty much putting on his political bias on display here. Normalizing a conservative strain of orthodoxy rooted in the farthest reaches of the political right, the Ludwell Fellowship poses their namesake as a spiritual antecedent to a convert-driven Southern Orthodoxy that neatly maps into neo-Confederate ideologies of a redeemed Dixie. In this way, the fellowship is but one aspect of a larger movement with some Orthodox communities in the United States to draw on these developments to help shift the fulcrum of Orthodox America into the heart and history of the American South, and in turn, normalize white supremacy. Yeah. Obviously some hyperbolic speech here, but he is saying that there's a conservative strain of orthodoxy rooted in the furthest reaches of the political right. I don't know if anybody watched my birthday stream, but orthodoxy itself is as far right as you can get. When you look at what the origin of the term is, which from the French Revolution, where the supporters of the king sat on the right of Parliament, and the opposition, the left, the progressives, sat on the left. And what it really is that those on the right wing are in total opposition to the new progressive revolutionary worldview. And orthodoxy is, by definition, in opposition to a competing ideological system of thought. Orthodoxy completely rejects the Enlightenment and everything that flows out of it. Orthodoxy has nothing to learn from it. Orthodoxy has nothing to dialogue with from it. Orthodoxy is the fullness of truth. Orthodoxy itself is by definition right-wing. You could say that it transcends this, that it transcends the right and left paradigm, which is true, but you're splitting hairs over semantics, whatever. If you have to categorize it on the scale of left and right wing, it is by definition right wing. And yes, of course, it transcends everything. These labels are categorical tools for us to categorize systems of thought in contrast to each other. So it just makes me roll my eyes when people are like, orthodoxy transcends. It's not right wing because it transcends it. Well, yeah, well, it's not left wing either. Okay. And it really is the polar opposite of the left wing. Now these like white supremacy stuff, this is all just tricks. It's all games. Nobody on the right is espousing an ideology in which even the race realist, the Oh, how long was I gone? I'm back. How long was I gone? Let me check my settings, make sure I have the right mic. I have no idea what happened there. Five minutes? I was out for 5 minutes? That sucks. That sucks. Well, thanks for the message from well, thank you. Thank you for the private messages telling me. Okay, more like 3. All right. What was the last thing you heard me say, just so I know where to go back to? I wonder why. That's so irritating. I was really going off too. I was going off. Okay, so race realism was the last thing. I am opening up for calls, so all right. Let me share the screen, the tab again. Maybe I need to close some tabs, and that'll help. All right. Well, at least I know what you're. So what I was basically saying before I share the screen is that very few people, including the race realist, the even people who describe themselves as ethno-nationalists, white nationalists, fascist, very few of those people espouse an ideology of white supremacy that I've encountered on the right. Nobody is saying that whites should reign supreme over other races. And this is basically just a term used by our enemies. It's a weaponized term to basically scare people from associating with effective political leaders, effective candidates, effective commentators, effective religious figures who are I left off talking about Heimbach. Okay. Well, Heimbach is back in the church and he's serving his penance, from what I understand, and he's like about to be back in good standing. Certainly, I don't I don't know what his views are now, so I don't want to speak to that too much. Last time I made a comment about him, I was put in my place in private. But anyways, I've never even fascist and these all of these like right wing groups. I haven't found any group, or at least seen a significant amount of people who are talking about a system in which white people should reign supreme over other races. That's not something I've encountered. It's certainly not any views that I hold. So the whole point of that, the whole point of calling someone this or associating white supremacy with whatever is to scare people from associating with people like myself. And it worked for Father Barnabas Powell. It worked because I mean he's groveling towards this writer, making excuses, like trying to like justify orthodoxy to the guy. Orthodoxy doesn't believe in white supremacy, and we believe like really no. And he said, and this could be parsed out. He said that ethno-nationalism is incompatible with orthodoxy. I think that's actually debatable, frankly, but that's neither here nor there. But he disassociated basically by The way that I took his response to the article was basically a disavowal of me. Why? Because the article was about me. Not completely, but I was highlighted in the article. And so I don't care that you sent me $50 in July. You just disavowed me in public, dude. And then when I ask you about it, you respond like a coward. And you're supposed to be a priest. You're supposed to be someone that we look up to. You're supposed to be someone that we go to for spiritual advice. But why would I? Why would any of us do that now? You fell for a progressive's trap. And the hit piece has done exactly what it was supposed to do. You disassociated with me because an effeminate, progressive little faggot with he, she, with pronouns in his profile told you that you should. That me and some other people are normalizing white supremacy through orthodoxy. Shame on you, honestly. Shame on you. We'll keep reading the article. But seriously, shame for believing this bullcrap. Like, why would you fall for that? Like, are you that dumb? Anyways, I'll keep reading. The Ludwell Fellowship is one of many examples of recent attempts by the American right to normalize and mainstream the myth of the lost cause. A product of the Reconstruction White South, the lost cause reframes the Civil War as a noble fight for states' rights, de-emphasizing the central role of slavery in driving secession and Southern rebellion, and lamenting both the victory of federal troops and post-war Reconstruction as affronts to white Southern autonomy, traditions, and general gentility. In truth, the lost cause was a means for former secessionists to preserve white supremacy, providing a false pseudo-historical narrative to undergird the systematic unraveling of the incremental gains freed people made during Reconstruction. These measures included Jim Crow laws, racial segregation, mass incarceration, political disenfranchisement, extrajudicial racial terror. I'd be interested to hear you explain. You see, he just says these things matter-of-factly, which is cool. I write like that sometimes. But he doesn't actually explain, and he never will, how it's a myth, the lost cause myth, like these. So the South pretty much, they're the Confederate apologies for, of what the aggressions were from the North. He's saying is wrong, and he's not explaining why they're wrong. He's just saying, oh, it's obviously just white supremacy. So, yeah, honestly, it is, I'd say I don't know what it is, man. I think it's kind of motivated by some sort of personal animus that he developed since he sent me a donation. And that interaction on Facebook, and then ignoring me when I asked to talk to him. And when I messaged him, I didn't even realize he had sent me a donation, because sometimes when the campaign emails are coming in full speed, it's like you don't really notice. But I have his phone number. If I knew I had his phone number from that, I would have just called and been like, "What's up, dude?" And I still might. I think I will call Father Barnabas. And you know what? If we have a good conversation and we can talk this out, I'll delete this stream. Honestly, I'll delete the stream. If he wants to, in fact, if he disavows public orthodoxy, I'll give him his $50 back. Father Barnabas disavows public orthodoxy and Aram Sarkisian, I'll give him his $50 back. And if he apologizes to me, I'll take this stream down. So that's the deal. And I'll call him. I will call him. I'll probably call him tomorrow morning. So let you guys know how it goes. Vestiges of the lost cause have long circulated within Orthodox social media circles and internet communities. On the Orthodox blog, Monomachos, one who fights alone, Oklahoma pharmacist George Michalopoulos often describes himself as a Southron, an archaic term for a person from the South. Historically, and that's the guy, by the way, who made a refutation of this and published it today. And it was very good. So I appreciate that. I can't say these Greek words, man. Anyways, has published essays extolling the lost cause, celebrating Robert E. Lee, who he calls one of the greatest Americans who ever lived, even suggesting at the end of the War for Southern Independence, the wrong man surrendered at Appomattox. So, I agree. Among the most active contributors to the Monachamos community has been our beloved Father John Whiteford, an Orthodox priest from Texas and one of the co-founders of the Ludwell Fellowship. Another frequent commentator is Fellowship co-founder Rebecca Dillingham, under the pen name Dissident Mama. Dillingham blogs about Stonewall Jackson and the noxious deification of Martin Luther King Jr., and interviews alt-right and neo-Confederate figures for her podcast. So what? Who cares? What's your point? Her upcoming 50th episode promises an interview with Michalopoulos. It is perhaps no surprise then to see these same lost cause ideas parroted by the newly formed Ludwell Fellowship, with its articles on Orthodox saints for Dixie and invitations for our Southern brothers and sisters to come home, y'all. It's possible to trace these developments in other more established corners of Orthodox America. In November, St. Vladimir's Orthodox Theological Seminary announced its intentions to relocate from suburban New York City after more than 8 decades in the metropolitan area. This unexpected announcement has garnered calls for the seminary to reestablish itself in the South. American conservative blogger and Orthodox Christian Rod Dreher maintains that the only future for the institution is in Texas. You know what? I'd say it should come to West Virginia, okay? Okay, Rod Dreher? And me and Rod Dreher don't get along, which is hilarious. But you know what? Maybe we should unite, Rod. Maybe we should unite together against the Fordhamites right now, okay? As Dreher argues, the future of American Orthodoxy lies primarily in the region of this country most open to the gospel. So, West Virginia. Observers like Dreher see such moves as essential to the survival of Orthodoxy itself, suggesting that blue states are bound to legislate and regulate the Orthodox Church out of existence and drive its adherents into the catacombs. True. He's right. He's right. Echoing a common conservative trope, Dreher pretends the systematic persecution of the traditional American Christians by what he calls the soft totalitarianism of the woke left. He outlined some of these ideas in January when he delivered the seminary's annual Father Alexander Shimon Memorial Lecture, a controversial talk which began with Dreher's defiant acknowledgement of my Orthodox Christian brothers and sisters who tried to get me deplatformed. Many of these arguments are also definitely implied in the seminary's press release, which notes that a primary rationale for relocation is the legal and regulatory environment in the New York area. Well, Rod Dreher has some good points there. Rod Dreher, the right-wing extremist. Rod, just embrace it. Come on over. Come on over with us reactionaries. Just embrace the right-wing label. So, I guess let me comment on Dreher. Somebody's asking questions. I don't know what Jay has to say, but Rod Dreher, from what I understand, and I don't know enough, has some ecclesiological understandings that might be a little off. He was vehemently anti-Trump because Trump was a meanie on Twitter, was basically why. My take is basically Rod Dreher desperately wants to be respectable in the eyes of his liberal peers. And so he's very, very, very solid on his anti-LGBTQ stuff. His ideas about that he put in the Benedict option are good. I don't think they have enough teeth, honestly. I think and a lot of what I do and say kind of completes the flaws that Rod Dreher has. That kind of fills in the holes in his ideas. An Orthodox seminary in West Virginia would be interesting. Which part of West Virginia would you like for it to be in? I would like for it to be in the Eastern Panhandle. I don't think it would make sense for it to be near the monastery. The reason why is because Orthodoxy already kind of has a strong presence in that corner of West Virginia because of the monastery. You have a budding community that's growing there. I think in the panhandle of West Virginia, if you're taking a kind of missionary mindset, there's no Orthodox churches. There's very little Orthodox presence. You have to drive. I live here. I have to drive an hour and 40 minutes just to get to church. So, yeah, I think it would be a great thing for West Virginia, because then we would have Orthodoxy in the Northeast and Orthodoxy in the Southwest. And there is like the cathedral in Charleston in the middle. So I just think it would be planting Orthodoxy in a place where it's not. I think that would be very good for West Virginia. And the future Orthodox Appalachian kingdom here would be very good. Michael Smith saying very mean things about Rod Dreher. I would say yeah. No comment. We're trying to get him on our side, man. We gotta get him over on our side. And anyways, let's keep reading. For proponents of an Orthodox Dixie, the reality is clear. Orthodoxy is best, or perhaps only suited to red states thought more aligned with conservative views on culture war issues like abortion and LGBTQIA rights. IA? What's that for? These proponents point to late 20th transformations in the national economy, which shifted industries, jobs, and people from the northern Rust Belt into the South and Southwest. In voicing this claim, adherents like Dreher demand that the historical strongholds of Orthodox Christianity in the continental United States, dwindling parishes in the Northeast and upper Midwest, many established by working-class immigrants in the shadows of factories, foundries, and mines more than a century ago, must now give way to emerging communities elsewhere. Found in this one-dimensional monolithic South is what they boast as more orthodox orthodoxy, a traditionalist expression driven by the conversions of conservative Christians from the Bible Belt. Yeah, wow. Believe it or not, orthodoxy is inherently traditionalist. What? The emergence of the Ludwell Fellowship and debates over the relocation of St. Vladimir Seminary speak to widespread challenges to what is proving to be a very fragile American democracy. Wow, imagine that. Democracy fragile? Fears of soft totalitarianism and the rise of a more diverse, multicultural, and inclusive United States are driving calls for the regionalization and fracturing of Orthodox America, sharply divided along the same politicized lines drawn across virtually every other aspect of American society. This also comes at a moment when state legislators nationwide are attempting to restrict what public school instructors can teach about race and racism. Yeah, like maybe not teaching anti-white propaganda in schools. This guy's defending critical race theory. Father Barnabas Powell, you are siding with the dude that, or you're at least falling for the trick that the dude set you up for, to disassociate from me and everybody in this article over a guy that's defending critical race theory, aka anti-white propaganda. Let that sink in. I'm kind of amazed Father Powell only has 96 Twitter followers. I think, to be fair, I think he's fairly new to Twitter. But he's got one less because he blocked me. So, but he's got some books out. He's on Ancient Faith. I mean, this just goes to show, though, honestly, all of these old AFR celeb priests and everything in Ancient Faith, their audience is gone. Their audience that has shifted to the orthosphere, to the ortho bros, where we have a larger audience than all of these people. Oh, Dissident Mama's in. He demeaned the battle flag back in the day after Dylan Roof, which I cite as my essay from today, and now he's shocked that the mobsters are taking down statues of Jefferson and whatnot. Silliness. Who are you talking about? Rod Dreher? Or, I don't know who she's talking about. But, anyway. Little finish here. He's like, including the historical fact that the Civil War is fought over a particular institution of slavery. Not true. This is especially relevant in that, as a wealthy Virginia planter, Fellowship's namesake Philip Ludwell III enslaved the black laborers who tilled his fields and kept his family's home. Blah, blah, blah. Data shows us that Orthodox America is both shrinking in size and shifting in its geographical reach. True, and you want to know why? Because of the cowardly bishops that succumbed to the COVID lockdown measures. Why wouldn't they shrink after basically closing their churches down and bowing on the altar of freaking Saint Fauci, huh? But Rocor, who has mostly, ignored those and has remained committed to the traditions of the faith, has experienced 44% increase in attendance. So some of that, and not all of, and a lot of that is people fleeing from jurisdictions like the OCA, GoArch, some of these other places. And a lot of it is catechumens, because people are looking for a place that doesn't bow down to the progressive regime and doesn't compromise on the true faith that has remained preserved in its fullness. Anyways, the lived experience of that process lay bare that the Orthodox America has a lost cause problem, one which distorts both the United States history and the tenets of the Orthodox Church in order to marginalize, exclude, and even to endanger members of its own flock. Actually, it has a public orthodoxy problem, a GoArch problem, to a large extent, OCA problem. It has a liberal, progressive leaning problem. So, yeah. Whether explicitly stated or cloaked in syrupy coded gentility, the safe harbor given white supremacy by groups like Ludwell Fellowship is a dangerous threat to the integrity of democracy in the United States, and also to the moral integrity of the Orthodox jurisdictions found in this country. So here's the deal. He worships democracy. He doesn't worship the eternal truth and tradition of the Orthodox Church. He's just told you everything you needed to know here in this last line. And by moral integrity, what he means is that we are a threat to the progressives' agenda of subverting the faith. And we're a threat to the liberal democratic order. Wow. Imagine that. It's true. The Orthodox faith is a threat to the progressive worldview. And what really should have you terrified, Dr. Aram Sarkisian, is that in the end, it will prevail. So, anyways, since Dissident Mama is in the chat, you should call in. Dissident Mama, perfect episode to call in. Got like 30 more minutes before I want to wrap this up. But just dropped you the link in the chat, so if you want to call in, I know you were recently a guest, but it's okay. People are happy to. I'm happy to bring people in as frequently as they want to come on. Dissident Mama says, back to Father Barnabas. If he's going to bend to the left, and if he wrote a book with the guy who designed a site for a bunch of white supremacists, that by default makes him a white supremacist too. I don't know who that. Who did he write the book with? I don't know. But she says Rod mentioned Dreyer at St. Vlad's because he wants him to disavow. Wait, Rod mentioned Dyer? He wants them to disavow Jay Dyer? Well, that would be extremely gay. Yeah, Seraphim Robinson, you're going to have to go back and watch. But I've pretty much covered everything I want, so we'll see. I'm going to check for some comments over on Odyssey. And Dalton says Father Powell also sided with Father Freeman in gatekeeping young earth creationism out of Orthodox discourse on Twitter. Yikes. Really? So he believes in... I guess he doesn't like Father Seraphim Rose much. Chairman Bree, I don't know who you're talking about, says this just sounds like typical Americanism. Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, if Americanism is basically progressivism, which it is, by the way, because the progressive project is rooted in, as I discussed in my birthday stream, is rooted in the American mythos, especially in the rebellion from England, and the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and whatnot. So yeah, where progressivism now is the logical conclusion of where it began in the Declaration of Independence and around that time, and the Enlightenment principles that influenced it. So yeah, there is a really weird... it's difficult for a lot of even Orthodox Christians to kind of divorce themselves from that ideology, because there's a lot of... it's been a conditioning and brainwashing that's happened their entire lives. And so to an extent we should be charitable about it, but some of what in my opinion, the coddling to the wokesters is unforgivable, in my opinion. And but like I said, if the guy wants a refund, I will give it to him if he denounces public orthodoxy. And if he does that, if he denounces Aram Sarkisian in public orthodoxy, I will give him $50. And if he doesn't, and if he, I'm gonna call him, and if we can talk through this and get on good terms, then I'll delete this whole thing. But for some reason, I doubt that will be the outcome. Some chats in here that look interesting. Dissident Mama says she asked him to explain his cryptic, fascinating tweet about poor Southerners the other night, and he never answered back because he's a coward. Orthodoxy Pronesius says there's an anti-Father Seraphim of Platina priest out there that have articles that even cite Lazar. Can't find the article online, but they hand it out to people who ask questions about Father Seraphim. Yeah. Those people are garbage. Seraphim Robinson says, Michael, do you believe America should not have declared independence from England? I think that the premise, and I've actually done videos and I've written about this in the past, so this isn't like some secret. I think that the premise from which America rebelled from England were wrong, honestly. You can look up the strictures upon the Declaration of Independence by the governor of Massachusetts at the time. Very interesting. It'll give you the other side of the story. I don't want to get too far, for political reasons, but a lot of the issues that the colonists their grievances were basically with what was coming out of English Parliament. Not so much with the king, but the king was useful for basically propaganda purposes. A lot of the main... Samuel Adams was basically a smuggler. That's where he generated a ton of wealth from smuggling in the seas, and he was one of the rabble rousers, and the reason why was because the king started to actually enforce the law, the anti-smuggling laws. So it's pretty much a criminal occupant, a kind of a cover-up for criminal activity. Now, looking at the state of England now, am I glad that we are not part of the crown? Yeah, I am actually. I'm glad that we're not part of the. But let's just say the main reason, that the main group that has been able to subvert the UK and the US is the rootless international Chinaman. Okay, never forget it. Never forget it. The rootless international Chinaman has destroyed Anglo civilization and turned it into what it is today. So never forget the rootless international China banker. All right. But yeah, I would say a good, if you want to kind of get a good reading into the American Revolution, I think Mencius Moldbug is a good read. I'll put it in the chat. Just Google. You can find it for free. A gentle introduction to unqualified I gotta Google this myself because I don't. Oh, reservations by Mencius Moldbug. I think that's what it's called. Let me Google it just in case. Now that's a good question. I don't run away from it. Oh. A gentle introduction to Mencius Moldbug. It's been a while since I read it. I don't even remember what it's called. Yeah, that's it. A gentle introduction to unqualified reservations. Now you can buy it as an ebook on Amazon, or you can just read it for free. I'm gonna link it in the chat right now. Yeah, Moldbug should become Christian, honestly, but Doorman, yeah, I he didn't call me directly parasitical, but he kind of indirectly said it, in my opinion, by basically saying that all of these parasitical ideologies that were now I was pretty much the author of this hit piece implied that I'm a white supremacist. And then so when Father goes in response to Aram and says that these ideologies, white supremacy is in conflict with, with orthodoxy, he's pretty much implying that I'm a white supremacist, and I don't take kindly to that. Chairman Bree says Moldbug is married to a lot of Enlightenment philosophy. I don't I mean, in the sense that he's not Christian, I would agree, but he does critique the Enlightenment pretty harshly. But he doesn't do it from the. He's still worth a read, especially that. So he's an atheist. He's not someone that you kind of got to be the bee, take the good and discard the bad. But he does do a good job of breaking down a lot of the cathedral system that we have here. Doorman says your birthday stream revealed the basis of your political views. No racial supremacism there. I thank you, bud. You're right. It did. So, and I think that is the first time that I ever did a stream where I just kind of did a broad overview and breakdown of my worldview and how it's intertwined with orthodoxy. And so it's cool. I mean, it was a fun, and we had a good time. I still have a bottle of beer from there sitting right next, an unopened, warm bottle of Yingling right here in the studio. So I appreciate everybody that called in that night. It was really fun. And the support for the show that I got was great. So, but anyways, that's Doorman. So you even had token brownies on two at once. Yeah. I was bad white supremacist of me, platforming brown people. So, I have a Facebook message. It's not Father Barnabas, so not interested. Not interested. I am an Orthodox supremacist, Seraphim. So there are multiple kinds of supremacy, and most of us have at least one. It's a matter of which is acceptable at the moment. Well, hey, one hit piece called me an Orthodox supremacist. I was like, okay. But it is the true faith and the fullness of the truth. So, no message. All he did was tell me to give a campaign donation back from July. So he threw some snipes at me since then. At least. But you know what? I'm going to call him tomorrow. Since I have his information, I am going to call him. So, yep. I mean, I guess he could technically block my number since he has it. I gave him my phone number. So, anyways, I don't like doing this sort of stream. Is not what I live for, but it's happened today, and I'd like to. I would like to work things out with Father Barnabas, but it's very sad. I was a fan for many years, and it's sad. It's just sad that you couldn't maybe I reacted a little harshly when I saw the way that he was engaging with this Fortamite. Maybe I did, but hey, you know what? Work it out with me, man. I gave you a chance, and then I invited you on the show, and maybe it was it was funny for me to promote it without your permission because it's funny, okay? It's a joke. Take a joke, dude. Take a joke. All right? So, anyways, open invitation. You're still welcome to come on anytime, Father Barnabas. I would love to hash out our differences for the delight of the public. But also, more importantly, I'd like to make amends on the phone in private, and I'll delete this, and I'll give you your $50 back if you disavow public orthodoxy and Aram Sarkisian. So, anyways, that's all I got. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.